Welcome to the Kelly Sullivan Walden Show, where we explore nighttime dreams, daytime desires, and the best ways to transform the tragic into magic. Because let's face it, we all dream, we all have our blessings, and we all have our challenges, myself included. And I don't want any of us to take any of those things lying down, if you know what I mean. I just wrote a book entitled A Crisis is a Terrible Thing to Waste. I'm excited to explore the topic with you, whether it relates to your waking or sleeping dreams, because we're dreaming all the time, people. So let's make it the best dream possible. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome. Welcome, everyone, to the show today. It's going to be a little different. We're going to be talking about some mystical and magical and dreamy things, but in a very grounded, down-to-earth kind of a way. So I have never had a topic like this before. If you're watching, you can already see my amazing and beautiful guest, Devra Jacobs. But for those of you who can't see her, let me just tell you a little bit about what's going on. So I think this show is mind, body, spirit, dreams oriented. And I think if we're in that ilk, we tend to be people that move around a lot. We tend to be a little nimble, a little light on our feet, a little bit like, ooh, what's that over there? Oh, let's just pack up and go. Let's cut our losses. Let's fly. And so I myself have moved. I counted over 20 times in the since I've known my husband, like 25 years. But I don't know that that's anywhere close to Devra. Let me tell you about who this woman is. So she is a mother. She is a grandmother. She is a psychic. She is a literary agent. She's my literary agent, and she's an author, and she's a mover and a shaker in many, many, many ways. So here's a little bit about this amazing book that she just wrote. So this is called A Happy Move. Everything you need to know before and after the boxes are packed. The goal of A Happy Move is to help people experience a functional, less stressful change of residence. The first of its kind, this book provides suggestions, worksheets, and firsthand accounts of what to do and what not to do before, during, and after you move, whether you're making a military-related move, going across the city or across the country. This book will help you. A happy move. It's amazing. Okay, so Devra Ann Jacobs, she's got over 29 moves under her belt. She is a professional, basically, without calling herself that until now. She and her family have moved across the USA and even once to Korea. Although she did not personally serve in the military, several of her moves were because she was married to an Army man. Along the way, Devra learned numerous valuable lessons on everything from how to pack properly, to do-it-yourself moves, to how to hire the right movers for cross-country moves. So we're just going to dive in because I think those mind, body, spirit folks that are watching and listening, we like to be all light, all love, all beauty, but it's been impossible, except like for me on the days of my moves. I've just said, I'm just surrendering to it being hell. Out comes Medusa, like all the spiritual practices out the window, and here come the F-bombs. It's such a primal thing to do. Okay, so what inspired you to write A Happy Move, Devra Ann Jacobs?
I actually was inspired by our publisher, your publisher too,
Beyond
who we
words.
were just talking about moving
Shell
and all of
Ashtiani.
the experiences I'd had and they're like, we want this book, write this book. And I said, I can't write. So I went to my best
I'm an
friend.
agent and a psychic and a
Exactly.
yeah.
So I went to my best friend, Britt Elders, who is a professional writer, and said, you write, I'll give you the information. And we wrote it together.
Yeah.
And and they said that they wanted to publish it. So it was like, okay, I will tell you, I have a great deal of empathy now for all of my authors that have had to go through this
Thank
process.
you.
I, being
It's
on
about
this side,
time.
yeah, being on this side of it, it's like, holy cow, there's a lot that goes into publishing a book. And we've waited, I mean, it's been almost 2 years since we started this process for the book to just be released yesterday.
Oh my God. Just yesterday.
Yeah.
Wow. So if God, I wish I had had this book. So, I mean, I'm just reading your book. I'm like, oh my God, I've made every single one of the mistakes. I mean, including labeling a box, precious jewelry, like sacred heirlooms, like so like any mover is going to be looking for that, like don't do that,
Don't
and
do
putting
that.
and thinking that I was being smart by packing boxes lightly only to have them smashed in and have things broken, and overpacking things so that they're too heavy and everything falls out and there's tons of breakage, and not realizing how many natural resources I have, like with t-shirts and clothes and workout gear and sheets. And, there's just so many practical tips in this book. Okay, so what is it that you mostly want people to, well, actually, let's go back. What caused you to move so many times? I know you were hitched up to an army man.
You said it at the beginning. That's like New Agers. They're gypsies by nature. And so I did make a couple moves from being married to the military, but I'd say 90% of my moves were simply, oh, I think I'll go cross country and live on the ocean in North Carolina. And oh, I think I'll go to California. And I just did that. I did that so often that after my granddaughter was, I guess she was in like eighth grade, she was begging my daughter and I, can you please stay in one place? So when we moved here a few years ago, or a couple of years ago, I said, okay, I solemnly swear I will not move until you graduate college. And she's going to college here, and she's a freshman. So
Wow.
it's been interesting not getting those, you get those inspirations and that energy, and it's like, I want a new adventure, I want a new place, I want new surroundings. And
Right.
and that's a lot of reasons, people in our community tend to move a lot.
Yeah. We're following our instincts. Yeah, and it's not always convenient, but there's something about, I'm thinking about kind of the typical way of, yay, we're gonna move, and then, oh, we gotta
You,
move. Like
yeah,
there's
you
all this
drop
stuff
from living in 5D down to 3D
so
that
fast.
and,
Oh, yeah.
and that was another reason for this book. It was kind of like planning is what gets rid of the stress. So with this
Right.
book, if you can, drop into 3D long enough to fill out the forms in the book and read the
Mm,
stories in the book and have a proper plan in place, then your adventure can be light. It
right.
can be fun and a journey instead of, oh Lord, who am I going to get to help me unpack this U-Haul at the other end?
Oh my God. Yeah, it's almost like nothing brings out, well, without the preparation, we're not only in 3D, we're in like the worst of 3D. I
Yeah,
mean, because it's so primal. It's like I think most of us think of ourselves, myself included, of being like, I'm not attached. I don't need anything. My stuff is just like, it can come, it can get broken. I don't need anything. But at the end of the day, Dana he's like, you are attached to that one pillow. Like, and I'm like, I am. Don't touch it. Give me my pillow. That's mine. And like, we are all, I always think that we're angel, we're ego, and we're caveman. And the caveman brings out the, I want this stuff to go there in that room. It has to be my way.
right.
But if we're like, if anybody's watching or listening and they're thinking, well, I'm pretty spiritual, then it's kind of like Jack Cornfield's book, First Enlightenment, Then the Laundry. I think there should be another book called First Enlightenment, Then Move Across town or move to another
That's this
country.
book.
Exactly. Because with enough preparation, you could stay in 5D, you could stay in the ecstasy and not have to go into full rage. I mean, I know people have like gotten divorced over the way they moved so horribly.
Absolutely.
Oh my
Well,
God.
or you end up fighting with whoever it is. If you have kids, you're moving.
Yeah.
If you have pets, you're moving.
Yep.
They're not happy. If you have a spouse that you're moving with, there's bound to be arguments if you don't have a very clear, concise plan. If everything's planned, then it's like, oh, no worries, we got this. Oh, no
Right.
worries, we got this.
There's
And
no need.
some of
Yeah.
the plans we're talking about stuff we talk about in the book, planning to move, which is really your most important first step. And I tell spiritual people and new age people, walk around your house, put your hand on that piece of furniture and say, does this serve me? If it
Mm.
doesn't, sell it, donate it, don't move it.
Mm.
And it allows you to purge, which is very good energy,
Right.
and you purge everything. If you're still carrying around your kids' toys from them being 3 years old and they're now 7, donate them, get
Right.
rid of them, don't move them.
Right, right. There's nothing, I mean, one of the last big moves I had, I just remember waking up in the new house and feeling like, oh my God, I only have here the things I absolutely need. I have no extra, there's no clutter. It's a wide open, clean slate. It's such a good feeling. So it's just good to do it cyclically, to do that lovely purge and to give things away and to just donate those things or
Yeah, I mean, if you're hauling around your grandmother's vase that is ugly and you've had it in a closet for the last 10 years, give it to somebody else in the family.
yeah, it's
You
good
know, you
karma.
Yeah, you just don't have to keep the excess. And when you go into that new place, there is this feeling of being surrounded by that in which you love.
Right, which is how it should always be.
Absolutely.
Okay, so just so for because you've moved not just around the country many times, but overseas. So how is that different? That must be really different and a lot lighter. So what's the difference?
Well, it's different in different ways. When I moved to Korea, I realized what I call American arrogance, that
Mm.
I thought I could just ship whatever I wanted to and show up and all would be great and grand. And I didn't do my homework. And for anybody
Mm.
who's moving out of the country, don't do that. Find out what's allowed. I mean, I had shipped things like my coffee maker, things I
Mm.
thought I was going to need. Well, it was taken away in customs because they considered it a black market item.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, so I mean, I lost a lot of things just putting things in boxes and sending it UPS. But the other things you want to know when going to countries, learn the language, at least enough to get by. I got there and here I am landing with a 2 year old and to a village where in the 80s, nobody spoke English. Well, I also didn't do my research and I didn't know you can't buy diapers. And here
Oh,
I am
wow.
with a 2 year old
Oh,
with
God.
about 5 diapers in my bags and no way to buy diapers. So do your research. It's a whole different kind of world.
Hmm.
We have a section in the book for military moves because a lot of those are to other
Yes.
countries.
Oh, God.
And then when you get there, I had bought beautiful living room furniture while I was in Korea. And then I found out I couldn't afford to ship it back and I lost it all.
Oh, my God. I think about my grandma, who was a military wife, who moved so often. I mean, they probably moved at least 10 times, and she had 5 kids, and she was by herself, no cell phones,
Right?
and she figured it out. I don't know. She really made all the kids responsible for things. Like she just had to. Like instead of having to be responsible for them, you guys are
Right.
responsible, like giving everybody a task. I mean, these days, just kind of coming into the modern world, thank God we have cell phones and we can take pictures of things. So there's a lot of knickknacks and things that we might love, but we're not going to take with us. We can at least take a good picture of
Well, and
those
if you're
things.
military, let's say you're going to be in Germany for 2 years,
Right.
get a storage place, store your stuff.
Right.
If the military is not great, depending on your rank, and it really does depend on your rank. In the
Right.
back of the book, we have all kinds of resources listed, and
Yes.
some of those
Great.
are military resources where they'll walk you through what you can and cannot do. But you can store stuff. And then I'll tell you one of the most valuable assets I found for now that we're in the modern age is before I move, if I know where I'm going, I get on Facebook and I find local Facebook groups. For
Mm.
me, you can find them for your kids, find out what kind of activities are going on, find out what the schools are like, get the kids involved and excited about things that they can experience that they maybe don't have where you're living now.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I want to talk about pets for a second, but first I want to tell you one snafu a friend of mine did that I think if there was going to be a book two, there should be like the chicken soup for the soul version of all the things that went wrong with people like in their moves. A friend of mine had a very fancy house in Beverly Hills, like with all the fabulous things, and they packed everything up the night before and they had their moving vans all packed and they were going to leave early the next morning. They woke up the next morning and everything was gone.
Yeah.
Somebody had broken in and taken
Stolen
off.
everything.
So I wonder how often that happens. I mean, it's kind of
It does
like,
happen. You don't want to pack until the day if you're gonna do a pod move or you're gonna do
right.
a DIY move with a truck, you pack it the day you're driving it away. And you buy a very, very good, expensive bolt lock to put on that truck. Most of these happen because people simply just close them and
Right.
they flip the little lock that comes with them, and it's not enough. Park when you're stopping at hotels, if you're driving cross
Right.
country, park at hotels back in to where you're parked right in front of the door of your hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Be able to keep an eye on these things. And some of the other faux pas that we have stories about in the book, people think because they're doing a DIY move, they're going to take that barbecue and that propane tank.
Oh, Lord have
And
mercy.
many, many times those things will blow up, burn
Right.
the truck to the ground. Sometimes with unreputable movers, the big national movers, that can happen. It happened in Phoenix a few weeks ago. A huge semi. They had packed, I guess, like aerosol cans, which you don't want to move either. And the
Oh,
entire truck burned to the ground, and the
no.
movers didn't have any insurance, and the people lost everything.
Oh my God. Oh,
So
that's so
there are
tragic.
things that if you have proper planning, you're probably not going to risk those horrible things that happen.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Oh my God. Okay, so just to tie in dreams a little bit here, a common dream theme is people moving and not being able to get out in time, like packing their stuff, but it takes forever. And I often think it's a metaphor. And so I think all of this is a metaphor, like the way we move like from one house to the next. It's all a metaphor for how we be internally. So if we're having a hard time packing, often it seems like people can't fit what they want into their suitcases, or there's too much stuff, not enough space, or too much stuff, not enough time. My stepson wrote a song, Too Much Money, Not Enough Love. That's a little separate, but too much stuff, not enough room. So there's something here about attachment to things, and how we be with like kind of lightening the load. And I don't know, what do you think? Do you think there's a metaphor
You know,
here?
because I do dream work. I
Hmm.
have dreams all the time before I move. And
Oh,
usually it's the angels or spirits telling me to be aware of
Mm-hmm.
something. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
having a dream, maybe that you're not getting packed on time or that you have too much to fit in the truck,
Mm-hmm.
again, that comes back to your planning. Did you find a place in your house that you measured off, and this is the size of my truck? And whatever fits into that space while I'm packing, I get to keep. Whatever doesn't, I have sold within 10 minutes of leaving a place my washer and dryer. Because when
Wow.
we got the truck packed, it was like,
No
okay,
room.
one, it's not going to fit.
Yeah.
And one of the guys helping me load actually bought the washer and dryer. I have left dining room tables on the side of the road because
Ooh.
they didn't fit in the truck. So I learned that lesson the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
And if you pack properly and evenly, like buy new boxes, make sure all your
Mm-hmm.
boxes are uniform. That's where most people will run into problems where they have packed all of their breakables in these smaller boxes. And then they go to
Oh,
pack the truck and it's like a jigsaw puzzle. And then
right.
you get crushing, you get cracking, you get breakage. And so if you're having dreams about things like that, it's like, oh, okay, maybe I should go on a Happy Move website and
On
look
the
at the
Happy Move, what's exactly. So that is the website, ahappymove.com.
happymove.com. And
Okay,
there's
so
videos of how to pack properly.
oh my God, thank God. Okay, so just tying a little bit of symbology in here. Also, there's something about we all have emotional baggage that, and even like the trauma from our past, we often want to hang on to it. We want to hang on to everything because I don't know, we don't necessarily trust that if we let go of what we know about ourselves and who we've been in the past, that there will be anybody left. So it's kind of it's a spiritual opportunity when we're moving to be to look at all of these things, like you said before, like only take what really reflects who you are now and who you want to be going into the future, and anything that's less than that, let yourself release it and maybe even make a ceremony out of it, you
Right,
know, do
right.
something.
One
do
of the tricks that I do, and this isn't for general public, but for us spiritual folks,
Mhm.
is I have massive rock collection, like most people do, with the
Oh
crystals and
God,
all
that's
the other.
heavy.
What I do when I'm packing is I'll bless a stone and put it in a box. It could be going in with clothes. It could be going in with
Mm.
CDs,
Hmm.
but it's asking the spirits to protect
Hmm.
everything that is
Oh, that's
important to
good.
me.
That's good.
And
Oh.
it's great. And then also I'll tell you another thing that people think I'm a little nuts about this, but I take all my crystals and I put them in salt in the sun before I pack them. I want to clear all
Mm.
that negative energy and not take it with me to a new place.
Oh, that's so good. Oh my God.
Now, I
Oh,
don't have those tips in the book, but
right. The UPS stores might not carry it if you did, but maybe there could be like the mind body spirit version of this. That is so good. I once heard somebody talk about JIC versus JIT. Have you heard of this?
uh-uh.
It's this like two different mentalities, just in time or just in case. Just in JIC, just in case, and then there's JIT, just in time. So if you think just in case I better have the X and the Y and the Z and the dryer and the blah blah blah, then you're going to be like there's going to be too much stuff.
Mhm.
And but if you're the just in time person, if I really need a new, if I need a new, I don't know, a propane tank for something, I'll get one, or somebody I'll exchange it, so you can afford to be a little bit lighter. I don't know,
Well,
giving
and
things
there's
people.
this balance, I think when people are moving, they emotionally are so attached to every single thing they have, and they start going into what I
Yes.
call assuming, and start
Assuming.
assuming that they're not going to be able to buy this on the other end, or they
Right.
assume that it's going to cost them more to get a new mattress
Right.
than hold on to that 10-year-old heavy mattress that's going to cost them $500 in shipping.
Right. Oh,
You
that's
know,
so
so
interesting.
you just got to kind of look at everything and am I really attached to this? Does it serve me?
Ooh,
Uh, and when you're moving to a new area, and you know how many times I've moved, you
29.
may want to completely redecorate. You know,
Right.
when I moved from Arizona to North Carolina, I had all this Native American stuff. I get to North Carolina on the beach and went, I want all beachy stuff. So moving all that was kind of a waste. I could have just
Mm,
sold it all before I moved.
right. Oh, that is so good. Let's talk about, there's a story about your cat, about you and Rebecca. I just love this story for some reason. So talk about pets moving, because that's a little harder than the
And
people.
people don't think about that. They figure,
Mm-mm.
oh, they're pets, I'll just toss them in the car and start to drive.
Yeah.
Don't do that. I've done that several times. I don't do that anymore. If you've got a cat, we'll use the cat story. If you have a cat, put it in a carrier and take it for a drive. See what it's going to do in a car. If
Good
it's
idea.
upset, take it to a vet and get some tranquilizers before the move, pre-planning. My daughter and I were taking two cars going from North Carolina to Arizona. We got somewhere in the middle of Georgia, and she signals me to pull over at McDonald's. And we pull in, and suddenly I see the cat carrier come out of the car and be set on the ground. I'm like, what the hell's going on? I get out, she's like screaming. If you don't take this cat and put it in your car, it's going to live at McDonald's. It
Oh
had
my God.
screamed nonstop for 4 hours
Oh my
from North
God.
Carolina to Georgia. I had a dog that was like the sweetest, calmest dog in the world. I thought, oh, this will be easy. I stuck her in the front seat, started driving. As soon as we got on the freeway, every time a semi would go by, that dog would freak out.
Mm.
If I had just taken this dog for a drive prior to it, I would
Hmm.
have known this and I could have gone to the vet and gotten either some tranquilizers or there's naturopathic things like rescue remedy for dogs. You
Right.
know, while you're planning yourself, plan your animals, plan other things like your plants.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Animals, I mean, we've moved with cats, dogs, rabbit, chameleon. There are always planning around moving your pets.
Ooh, right. And you talk about making sure the things that you carry on your person are those documents and things that you, like birth certificates, and like your
Yeah.
daughter wasn't able to get into school on time because you had so many boxes everywhere. Because,
Yeah, I packed her school records. And
yeah,
we go into that in really intense detail in the book,
yeah,
and that's why there's some forms because
yes,
you'll get to your new location and let's say you haven't read the book and you don't know you should have gotten your prescriptions all filled and written prescriptions to take with you. Because
right.
I found out on a move that prescriptions don't always transfer state to state.
Oh,
And how long is it going to take you to get into a doctor to get your prescription? Some of these things, when you only have three left, can't wait. Or we're like when we moved to North Carolina, one of the times we arrived during a hurricane.
oh
If
God.
I had needed prescriptions, I mean, nobody had any power for a week. So it wasn't like I was going to be able to go fill anything. So
Oh
yeah,
Lord.
again, it goes to planning,
Right.
have a good plan.
Right.
Also, in the resources, talking about pets, because I think this is really important,
Hmm.
is it breaks down in our resource directive by state. So you can go find out what their rules are. You don't want to move to a state that requires certain vaccines for your dog that you never got.
Oh, oh
You don't
Lord.
want to move to a state and find out that you have 7 days to get that animal
Oh,
license. Or if you own a ferret, you don't want to move to California because they're not allowed.
wow. Okay, so in an ideal world, because you've done this 29 times, um, how much time should a person allow, like for preparation before they actually move?
If you're, whether you're renting or selling, you usually have a month before you actually have to be out of a place. You'll get notice you have 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
Start day one.
Mm-hmm.
You can even start packing day two because you want to pack up. I mean, if it's June, you don't need Christmas ornaments out.
Right.
Start
Hmm.
packing the things you know you're not going to need
Books
and
and
start
tchotchkes and
purging stuff you know you're not going to want.
hmm.
Um, keep in mind, you said something at the beginning of this that was brilliant. Keep out your sweatshirts, your sweaters. Those make
Right.
great
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
packing materials.
Right.
Don't get all excited and go, oh, I'll pack all my winter clothes. No, you're going to use those because
Right.
when you move, what causes breakage is vibration, the vibration of the truck. It's not actually how things are packed inside necessarily. It's the vibration. So if things touch and they vibrate, they crack.
Oh my God.
And so
What,
using sweaters and stuff is wonderful.
and sheets and towels and washcloths and all of those things. One
Absolutely.
thing that I did so many times, and I wish I had your book, like I wish I could just send it to my past self. I used to think, because moving is expensive, I'm going to cut some costs. I'm going to go to the grocery store behind and get all their extra produce boxes and use those, only to have, first of all, they're stinky and gross, but they're not good for packing. And you say in your book, A Happy Move, to just like spend the money getting some actual good boxes. And I would have thought, well, it's more recycling, reusing. It's better for the environment if I get used boxes. But no, not if I want to have my belongings intact.
But if somebody really wants to recycle, there are places for that.
Okay.
Like a lot of the U-Haul stores, you can bring your boxes in after you moved, and then they let people come get them for free.
Okay, that's good to know. That's really
Check
good to know.
Craigslist. I mean, when we move, the day after we've unpacked everything, we throw it up on Craigslist. Does anybody need boxes? Or your local, Facebook page for your town. Does
Uh-huh.
anybody need boxes? Or they'll come. I mean, I've never had anything more than 24 hours.
That's so funny. That's good.
And
I'm so remembering one of the last times I moved, we had a big house that we were downsizing to, and I had friends come over and pick what they wanted. And I remember somebody's like, "Oh, I'll take that chair." I'm like, "No, not that chair. I'll take that Buddha statue." "Oh no, 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 not that." I'll take so I
yeah,
needed to just leave. Just go. Let everybody come, take things, leave what you want to be taken, and just go away. Because
well,
it was hard.
you know what that reminds me of is think about when one of your parents passes away and
Oh.
you're going to move the other parent and the house is full of all this stuff, right? When my parents passed away, we had the biggest dumpster you could get, and it was completely full within a week of throwaway stuff because they pack ratted everything. So I kind of made the decision I would never do that to my daughter. And so I started offloading, even with the moves, things that really weren't that important for me to have around, like
Mm.
the 3 extra sets of sheets or blankets, just in case you have visitors.
JIC. Right. Exactly.
Yeah, that just in case, the extra set of dishes, just in case. No, 3 walks. One of my moves, I had 3 walks. When I unpacked the kitchen, I'm like, why do we have three walks? You're not
Wow.
going to use three walks, you
Right.
know? Take it down and
Just
donate.
one walk will do.
One walk will do.
One walk will do.
Well,
Will we?
the
So like Elmer
clothes,
Fudd.
I'm like, well, that was a size six. I'm never going to wear a size six again. I took and donated to a women's shelter, and they were
Right.
thrilled.
Right.
But
That's
why are I can go buy something if I actually lose the weight.
exactly something new as a reward. Exactly.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so one of my best friends used a pod when she was moving, and that was the first time I'd ever seen that. You write about that in the book. What talk about these? I mean, this is sort of newfangled-ish.
It is
Talk about
fairly
that.
new. One of the most reputable companies we actually do have in the book, Packrat.
Mm-hmm.
I think U-Haul actually has some pods now too. The pods are great because you set it up with them on a certain date, they deliver it. You spend the next day, 2 week, whatever, loading it.
So
And
for
then
people who don't know what a pod is,
a
so
pod is
break it down a little. It's it's kind of
um
it's kind of like a big portable
it's a
moving
container.
space,
It's like
a big
a
container
six
that
by
comes to
nine.
your house.
Yeah, they drop it off, and there's pictures in the book. They drop it
Hmm.
off in your driveway or on the street in front of your house. Make sure your HOA is will approve you doing that.
Hmm.
And then you load it, and then you call them and you say it's ready to go. You tell them where it's going, and they ship it. So you don't have to drive in a truck, but you also don't have to pay the exorbitant fees of professional movers.
Mm.
As long as you can load the pod. Now, the only thing with pods, I will tell you, is not all cities can have delivery of pods. Or,
Oh.
yeah, it is fairly new and it's
Mm.
expanded. And then in big cities, there's no place to put the pod. So
Mm.
some people like will rent a storage facility that the pod can go in,
Hmm.
and that's where they have it delivered. But there are a lot of places where you cannot get pods,
Oh
or
wow.
they'll deliver it, but the closest place for them to deliver it on the other end, maybe 2 cities away. So
Oh,
again, it's part of planning,
right.
make sure what you're doing. But pods are a great idea. The other cool thing with pods is, let's say you're doing a military move and you need to store things while you're overseas for a year.
Hmm.
You can't take anything with you. You put it in a pod, and they have services where they store your pod. So it's not like storing your stuff in a warehouse where it could get robbed or whatever. It's completely
Right.
safe and secure.
And I guess what is special about that is that there's the convenience of you load everything into this pod and then it stays in this pod and it goes to wherever it needs to go and then you can bring the pod to your home. So it kind of takes so you don't have to load up, load back. I mean, it takes several of those the processes of loading and unloading out of the picture.
And,
It seems
and
like
it
it's
can be
kind
a
of the
lot
way of the future.
faster. With the cross country movers, with everybody fleeing states like California, sometimes you're like, we didn't see our stuff for 3 weeks when we moved to Arizona
Mm,
because they just had too many people moving and they were like partial loads. So our stuff could have gone to Oregon before it came here. With a pod, it tends to be much, much faster for the
hmm.
deliveries. And then also, you get these updates constantly on your
Mm,
pod. You know exactly where your pod is at all times. With the movers, you don't have any correspondence with the driver or anything. All you get are if you call the company and they're like, oh, yeah, we're only guaranteeing between the 5th and the 16th,
mm,
and
yeah,
so there is a difference. Now,
right.
DIY moves with a truck, it happens to be my personal favorite if I'm
Mm,
not going cross country, because I know when I pull in, my stuff's with me.
right, right, right. Exactly.
It
You're
just can
like,
be a little crazier, like I'm 67 years old. It was not fun driving a U-Haul, pulling a car this last time.
oh, yeah, that's the hard part. I mean, that's like, oh my God, that's
It's big.
just crazy. It's big. It's big.
Yeah, that's all I can
Oh,
say. As I'm winding through the redwoods, pulling this trailer on this little bitty road, going, please don't hit a redwood tree.
oh my God. Okay, so I imagine after 29 moves, you've gotten progressively better at it. Is that true?
Absolutely. Not only have I gotten better at it, I'm not shocked when something happens. I just
Mm,
go, oh, okay, something to think about for the next move. I should have thought of
add
this.
that to book two. Right.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
That was like, oh, okay, that was a surprise. We one of the moves, my daughter brought this up this morning. We were living in Washington, and we hadn't seen the sun in the 6 months we'd been there. And so I
Mm,
got this wild energy field that said, go south, find sun.
go
So
south. Right.
I told my daughter, we're going to load a U-Haul. We're going to go south on 101 until we see sun. And that's where we're going to live. And so we did that, but without proper planning. Now, this was probably 15 moves ago. We thought, we don't need to make plans and get hotel rooms.
We're
We're
going with
getting
the
to find a
flow.
truck that we can put a mattress in and crawl through the cab and sleep in the truck. We only need it for one night. Yeah, that was stupid. We we ended up hitting one of the worst rainstorms
Oh
in
God.
Northern California, and we pull off into what was sort of a rest stop. I think
Mm.
it was dark, it was night, it was raining,
Oh
and we
God.
were pulling a car behind us, which I didn't. You always want to get somebody to teach you how to back up with a truck and a trailer because it doesn't work like you would think.
Oh
So we got
Lord.
stuck in this thing. We crawl up into our mattress. We're like, it's okay. We'll wait till morning. Well, we didn't know the truck would leak. And we were laying on this mattress, this car 6 inches from the ceiling with water dripping on us.
Oh my God. Okay.
But a nightmare.
Would
So
you say that was your worst move, or is there
that
one
was
that's even worse?
definitely one of the worst moves
One of
because
the
when the
worst.
sun came out, we were in between trees and I didn't know how to back up.
Oh,
And all these men were standing around in their trucks laughing at us. And I'm like, quit laughing. Somebody come and help us. Because when
right.
you're in a truck and you turn it to the left, your trailer goes the opposite direction.
Oh God.
So I almost hit somebody's car. I almost hit a tree. Finally, nice
Oh,
gentleman got in the truck and said, honey, this is how you do it. I
Lil
should
darling.
yeah, it was exactly like that.
Oh
I
my
should
God.
have asked at the rental place, can you give me some instructions on what to do?
Yeah.
I could have been stuck there. I couldn't go forward and I couldn't back up.
Oh my God. Okay,
Yeah,
so
that was
so if that's one of the
horrible.
worst, what's one of the best? What like when did you like nail it? Like, ah, I finally got it right. What was one of the best ones?
Probably one of my moves
The
to California.
29th?
Yes, last month.
Yeah.
One of my moves, I actually was only going within the state, and I hired this company called Two Men in a Truck. And
Right. You
I
talk about
decided
that in
the
the book.
only thing I was taking with me, because I knew it wouldn't be an overnight drive, it was like a 10-hour drive. I just took, my basics, my computer, my coffee pot, my TV, and my suitcases, and my kid, and my two dogs, and the cat, and the
Oh
granddog.
yeah, the
But
kid.
but everything was all packed up and ready to go. These guys came in, they were professional, they covered my floor. They said, have you marked all your boxes? And I was like, yeah, because I learned that a long time ago in big felt pen on the sides of every box. And they loaded everything up, I mean, like in 45 minutes. Moved it. We're at the location before I got there, which was amazing. Normally they show up like the next day, most movers, or 2 days later.
Mhm.
And they unpacked everything to the rooms that were marked on the box. We pull up with our kid, the cat, everybody, and it was a breeze.
Wow.
We knew where the what I call the go box. It's the box that has everything you're going to need for the first day. Your coffee
Oh,
pot,
the go
coffee,
box.
all of that stuff, the bath towel, the soap, the shampoo,
The
toothbrushes,
toothbrush, the damn
everything.
toothbrush.
Yeah, so you don't have to try and unpack when you arrive at 6 p.m.
Right.
You can simply find your go box. It was wonderful, and they were wonderful.
Oh my goodness. I am so grateful this book is finally out. It's a few decades late, but hey, better late than never. I am so grateful because I'm the moving type. I mean, my best friend Gypsy, who's on the other side now, Gypsy lived to her name. Like we're both gypsies, and I am drawn to other gypsies. And I mean, I've been here in this house the longest I think I've been anywhere. But you never know. I mean, I'm starting to feel that itch. So, I'm going to be referring to your book, filling out all the lists, all the resources that you have, what to do, what not to do. And it's so clearly written and there's humor sparkled and sprinkled in, but it's a really practical book. So for all those metaphysical ones out there that you're like, like the light of the world, but you're like, oh my God, how do I do these basic things? Just a little prep, just a little reading of this book, A Happy Move, which is hilarious because it's always usually like, I don't know. It's good to know that the move can be happy, that it doesn't have to be the move from hell, which most of mine unfortunately have been because I didn't have your book. So Devra and Jacobs and Britt Elders, great job on this book and Beyond Words, great job publishing this book and it's out. Congratulations. Any last words of wisdom from you, Devra and Jacobs?
I just want your people to know that we're running a great contest right now.
Oh, tell
And
us about the contest.
go to ahappymove.com. If you're planning on moving, you can win all kinds of stuff for a move,
Like what?
including like $100 U-Haul gift certificate, $50 Home Depot gift certificate,
What?
Starbucks cards for that coffee while you're driving. The publisher has put in books, so if you're stuck and you're waiting 3 weeks for your stuff to arrive, which does happen a lot, you got something to read.
Oh my God.
There's all kinds of things, and one of the grand prizes is a moving box full of tape, box cutter, bubble wrap, paper, all kinds of things, labels.
Holy Lord. Okay, I want that. I'm going to go and play that. So we just go to the website,
Go to the website,
ahappymove.com, and we
click on,
buy the book on wherever books are sold, and then
and
we
there's
come
no
back.
purchase necessary to enter. If somebody doesn't buy the book, they can still enter. There's instructions
I
on
want people to buy the book, but that's very generous of you. Everybody buy the book. Go to ahappymove.com and register to win. I'm going to do it right this very second because the book comes out tomorrow. Actually, I have to wait till tomorrow.
yesterday.
Yesterday.
It came
Okay.
out yesterday.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, and
I'm going right now.
Amazon's already out of them, but there's on the website, there's all kinds of
Congratulations.
places you can buy it. And
Congratulations. Okay, everybody, ahappymove.com. So your next move can have a groove and doesn't have to be the move from hell ever again. Every move can become progressively better and better and better as you lighten your load and just bring with you the things that you most love and let it be a spiritual practice. It doesn't have to be spiritual practices over here and then your move is like, no, it could be first enlightenment, then move with enlightenment. That's the goal. Devra and Jacobs, I love you so much. Ahappymove.com.
thank you,
so much.
Carly.
Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Kelly Sullivan Walden Show. If you enjoyed this episode, take a moment to like, subscribe, comment, and share it with your friends. My show can be found on Apple iTunes, YouTube, Google Play, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to order my new book, A Crisis is a Terrible Thing to Waste, go to your favorite online or brick and mortar retailer, then head on over to kellysullivanwalden.com, tragic to magic. Input your order number and redeem your bonus gifts. I'm also excited to be offering a DreamWork practitioner training. So if that calls to you, go to kellysullivanwalden.com/DreamWork. If you'd like to join me for the live recording of these shows, most Wednesdays at noon Pacific, you can find me on Facebook at Kelly Sullivan Walden Dreams. If you have a question about your dreams or about how to transform your tragic into magic, email me at kelly@kellysullivanwalden.com. Until next time, remember, a crisis is a terrible thing to waste. And as you awaken to the power of your dreams, you make the world a lighter, brighter, more beautiful place, one dream at a time. Sweet dreams.